Give the call to the honourable member for Riverina.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Environment and Water, who has federal responsibility for environment and water, just to be clear. I refer to the Minister's question time statement last week, and I quote, "We're not proposing any takeover of state laws. We're not proposing any duplication of state laws. Heritage protection will predominantly remain a matter for states and territories." Given the West Australian Government is set to scrap its cultural heritage laws, will the Federal Minister rule out federal mandatory national standards that require cultural surveys for farmers on their private property?
Give the call to the Minister for the Environment and Water.
Yes. Thank you. Mr Speaker, and I thank the Shadow Minister for the question. I don't know how often I can say to this place what I said every day last week in question time. We are not, for one moment, intending to take on the cultural heritage protection laws of any state or territory. That's true of WA, it's true of any other state that is doing cultural heritage protection reforms. We have our own process in place. That is a process that was begun by the former Minister for the Environment. The consultation with the First Nations Heritage Protection Alliance begun by the former Minister for the Environment. We're talking about updates to Commonwealth laws. We're not talking about duplicating, copying, adopting any WA laws. What's amazing about this is until very, very recently, not only did the former Minister for the Environment support this process because she began it, not only did the member for Leichhardt support this process because he chaired the two Duke and Gorge inquiries, but the Shadow Minister for the Environment supported this process. He said, and I quote, "Those events," he's talking about Duke and Gorge, "were so disastrous that they made it clear that comprehensive work needed to begin as a matter of urgency on modernising Indigenous heritage protection laws in Australia." The member for Cowper, of course, has also been a great supporter of this approach. The member for Cowper said, and I quote, "We are very pleased that the Minister," that's me in this case, was not the former Minister, "has now made it clear that she will be continuing the work that had already begun in this area during the years of the coalition government." He said, "We always considered that it was vital that this process be centred on the views and the experience of traditional owners." And of course, Senator Dean Smith also said, and I quote, that we know that Duke and Gorge, which we know to be of such tremendous heritage value to Indigenous people in the home state of Western Australia, people should ask themselves what has changed. Can I say, again, we have no intention of adopting the WA laws as they were, as they will change. We are the Commonwealth Government. We are looking at Commonwealth laws and will update them according to the process put in place by the former Minister for the Environment.